Welcome to my new series, Let the Setting Create the Character. In this series, we're going to be taking a very popular D&D setting or other setting from fiction and turning them into a D&D character. Today's theme, the Feywild. So first of all, why would you want to create a Feywild D&D character? Well, maybe you're about to play a campaign that's going to go to the Feywild, like Wild Beyond the Witchlight, or with the new Forgotten Realms book that came out, we just got a bunch of new information about the Feywild. Maybe you want to go there. Or perhaps your characters got TPK'd and then you reincarnated into the Feywild as Fey spirits. No matter what it is, you need to make a new character and your theme is the Feywild. So, I'm going to build a character and I'm going to get back to you really quick. And just like that, I have a filled out character sheet. Well, not completely filled out. Enough information to do this video, however. So, let's talk about my Feywild inspired video, or this inspired character, Tavis Faye. And here's what they look like. Interesting. So, the first thing you should notice about this character is that they are a dual wielding. Now, I'm going to give you all a second to try to guess their class. 3, 2, 1, they're a ranger. Of course, I picked a ranger for the Feywild inspired character. I didn't want to go for an Archfey Warlock for this character because it felt too on the nose almost. It felt like that was the obvious pick, and another thing I want to do with this series is sort of a ranger. It sort of gives me some wiggle room to do what I really want with them and to get rid of those expectations. Now, I did go with something basic here, and I did go for an expectation here. This character is a high elf. Cut off completely, dead stop, do not collect $200, do not pass go. This character is a high elf. Now, when I was originally coming up with the idea for this character, I originally was going to make them something more Fey-ish, like a Harengon or an Eladrin. However, eventually I just decided to go with the most popular Fey ancestry in all of media. I decided to go with a high elf. I also gave them the Fey Lost background. I really liked the idea that this character was originally part of a elvish noble family that lived on the material plane, but then decided to go back to their Feywild to sort of rediscover themselves and their culture. So if you really want to play this character, you can mess around with something like that. Now, I mentioned just a second ago that this character is a ranger. That is not completely true, however. If I were to ever play this character, and this is just me, this character would end up taking rogue levels. And I hadn't picked out a subclass until just now for those rogue levels, but they would probably be an arcane trickster. I think the idea of having this character that mixes stealth, Fey-ish magic, illusion magic, and enchantment magic, all which the Fae are famous and infamous for, I think really compacts this character. Now, let's look at these stats. First up, this character has a -3 in strength. I'm playing a dual-wielding character. I don't really see that much use for strength. This character is going to be a dexterity-used character almost 90% of the time. Also, little side note, am I the only one that thinks that the Rangers' saving throw proficiencies are kind of weird? Yeah, why don't they get proficiency in wisdom saves? Back on topic, they get +3 dexterity. I'm using the standard array if you can't already tell. They get +3 dexterity. I made it this way, that way they can dual wield effectively, and if they have to, they can switch to a long or short bow to get short range damage and long range damage. Now, these last couple stats might actually confuse some of y'all. I put the 10 into Constitution. Because this character is going to be a frontline fighter, a lot of you might be confused why I put a 10 into Constitution. Well, it's because I really want this character to be a dexterous character. I want them to get by because of their speed, not their overall Constitution. They are also an elf, which are most commonly known for having low Constitution. Alright, now the last 3 stats. Some of y'all might have already seen these and freaked out and said, oh, those are just all wrong. We put the 12 and the +1 into intelligence, that way we can be an arcane trickster later on. And now, these last 2 might confuse a lot of y'all. I put 13 into wisdom, and I did 14 into charisma. The reason why I did this is because I see this character as someone who wouldn't get by using their magic. Yes, they have learned magic due to their times being in the Feywild, however, they are genuinely working more off of their charisma instead of their overall arcane power. Now, for their skill proficiencies, I took animal handling, deception, stealth, and survival, along with investigation. This gives this character enough social and physical skills to learn how to explore and really survive in the Feywild while still giving them decent skills. Realistically, if I could have, without ruining the Ranger build, I would have given them 1 or 2 more. Now, I've saved this last part for last, because I genuinely do not have an answer. There are too many good options. What Ranger subclass would I give this Ranger? I can genuinely almost see an argument for every single Ranger subclass. I'm going to rapid fire. Beastmaster, you found your animal companion in the Feywild, and especially if you're going off of the Tasha stuff, they're a spirit and not a physical animal, which is even better for your Feywild theme. Fey Wanderer, do I really have to get into that? Gloomstalker, you learned how to stealth in the Feywild, and even better, learning how to survive and be nimble. Horizon Walker, you were originally a ranger that was trying to stop an invasion or an opening portal that came from the Feywild, but you got sucked in at the last moment when it was closing. The Hunter, this is just Ranger Plus. Any Ranger can have this. The Monster Slayer, you slayed monsters in the Feywild. The Swarm Keeper, instead of your swarm being made out of insects, it can be made out of fairies. Drake Warden, you made a deal with an Archfey or saved the life of a minor Fey in an Archfey's court, and because of this, they gifted you a Drake. See, it can really work with any of these. So that has been my Feywild build. Leave a comment down below saying how you would change this build, and goodbye.